If you fish or boat in the Pacific Northwest, especially along the Columbia River, we have a specific kind of anchor that we use here because of the current and the depth of the water. It's called a Columbia anchor or a rocker anchor, and I'm going to show you how I built mine out of steel. I'm going to take some box tube, pretty heavy box tube, and some 1/4 inch, 2-inch flat bar, both steel, both heavy. Wanted to be heavy enough to hold your boat. Okay, so you're going to have your box tube here, and then you're going to have a intersecting box tube. This is going to have a little bit of a hinge so it can go stow away, but it's also going to have flat bar bent with a point on each end of it, and this is so it can go down to the bottom of the water and then snag onto stuff so it can hold. It'll also have an eye here and an eye here welded on, so a chain can attach at the bottom and then zip tie to the top here. That's so if you ever get this stuck, you can yank really hard and it'll break the zip tie and give you a chance to pull from this angle and hopefully pull out from whatever you're snagged on from there and free it. So I'm going to be making this today. We're going to be bending it. I'll show you how to use the bender. You can bend it with a hammer and cut and stuff too. So I'm not necessarily going to make it so you can only build this with particular tools. First things first is we're going to measure out this part of the anchor. It's going to be about, we're going to make it about 17 inches long. I'm going to make it so you can see cut from a couple angles. That's 17. I usually will just mark out what I'm doing here, and then I'm going to go off of here, make it 20 inches. Once again, mark out so you can see it from a couple angles. We're going to cut that on this cut-off saw. You can do that with just a cut-off disc on your grinder too, your angle grinder. I'm going to be making these 18 inches. 18 inches. Make that cut line there. And make this one an 18 as well. Make that 18. Start with the box tube. Get this lined up, tightened up, so it's nice and tight so it doesn't get messed up. We're going to cut this one and then we're going to cut the 20 inch. I don't know whether you can see this, but I did a right 45-degree angle right here, and that's what I'm going to be cutting on. I have my glasses on and my ear protection. Now, as you can see, I started and I went gently back and forth and kind of made a channel so I can cut this. It'll be a little bit more stable now. That should show you how I did that. Now, So for these kind of cuts, you're going to just do kind of a gentle back and forth rocking motion. You don't want to get the metal too hot. You're just going to go back and forth until it starts cutting all the way through. You got to watch it doesn't catch. Sometimes the angle grinder will want to catch, and it can really kind of mess up your grip. So now I have 2 of these, and they'll more or less match up pretty well. Clean up these ugly burrs, because you'll really cut yourself bad if you don't clean this stuff up. So I have that nice and sharp, nice and secure in there. I'm just going to go over the edges, and you'll see sparks coming out, and that's just like sanding off the edges. So you see how this one is nice and smooth and polished almost. This one has the ugliest burr. If I ran my finger down this, it would cut me deep. So we want to take that off just like we did the other one, and we want to do it all the way around on all of these. Okay, so we have this picture as a little bit of a reference. And what I was getting at was, you're going to have these guys right here, and then this piece right here is going to fit like this. I still got to grind these off, but these are going to be like that. Okay, level that up. So, and then this piece is going to go, whoa, it's going to go like this. On a hinge that'll rotate so you can put it down. But that's what it's going to look like. These are going to, right about here, are going to bend upward a little bit at about, I'd say, 30-degree angle. Not a full-on 45, but like a 30-degree, 25, 30. And so this is what these anchors look like. Okay, so I measured the length of this at, this is actually, now that I cut it, I forgot about the width of the blade. When you're cutting it, will reduce the length of it a little bit. So we're at 17 3/4. I have the center line of this being roughly center, more or less, right about here. 8 inches. Center of 18 would be about 9. So we want to be shy of 9 a little bit. So the center is going to be here. That's where this guy is going to go. It's going to rest right on the middle of that. And then we're going to come off of this center. I'd say we're going to come off about 3.5 inches on either side here. 3.5 inches. That's where our bend is going to be on this. So that's where we're going to bend this. So we're going to just make a line here. And that's the bend. 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 You don't have to draw this on here. I'm doing it for you guys. Bend. Okay, so center, bend. These will come up about, I'd say about 25 inches. That's how much we're going to bend this up, and they're going to match all the way around. In order to make the channel for bending a little bit wider, I put on a grinding disc, which is obviously thicker than a cutoff disc. That gives us a much wider kind of you see that bevel kind of to it. This will give us a chance to kind of bend it easier. I was having trouble with this bench vise kind of rotating on me, so I have one of these upright kind of floor pedestal benders, and I can show you how I do use this to bend it, or else you can just maybe one thing you might be able to do is get this on the edge of a workbench, maybe screw it down and hammer a little bit, and then you want an angle about like this, which is roughly 25 to 30. And I'm not gonna be too picky. I'm gonna use this angle to judge all the other angles off of. 6R. I'm using the 90-degree angle. I'm going to take this all apart just to show you real quick how to do it. So your pedestal, make sure I have this all in frame. Your pedestal gets screwed to the floor because you need a lot of leverage to do this. And you have multiple kind of pivot die here, all the way up to something like this. So you can use this for a lot of different things. I'm using this just to bend this. So this arm is what does all the bending. You're going to take this and one of your long pins that come with it, and that's not the one. And you're going to put that into the second hole, big hole here. So you have this extra one sticking out here. Okay? So that's your pivot right here. Okay? And then you're going to take this little spacer guy and you're going to go 1, 2, 3 back for that. Then you're going to take this, a 90-degree piece. You're going to rest it on the spacer, but you're going to have this go from this pivot. You're going to go 1, 2 holes and put your pin in. Okay? Then the last one you're going to do is on this arm here. You're going to take one of these guys right here. Oh wait, I put this in the wrong one, my bad. You're going to go a second hole. I did the third. You're going to take this and pop this in. This is the size I want because I want a fairly tight angle there. So then you're going to go off of your bend line and you're going to put this in here like this. I think I'm doing this wrong way. Am I doing this wrong way? And you're going to rest that on your line here. See here. There. Okay? So you have this all the way. You put this piece in, put it up to your line, have this line rest on this line right here, and then you're going to kind of lock it into place. Okay? And then you're going to pull. You're going to need a lot of leverage on this. And you're going to pull it. And that line that you bent, that you ground into this will help that bend. Okay? So you're going to, this one looks like it needs to come up a little bit more. So I'm going to stick it in one more time. And I'm just going to bend it a little bit more. Just so it looks like it matches. So it looks like it matches the other one. There we go. Okay. So I'm gonna mark this on the ground here. Mark this on my bench, just so I can check my angles here. So I'm gonna make a line here. Then I'm going to bring this line up to it. Bring this line up and I'm going to make that mark. Now I'm going to switch this over. Then I can see how close I did. Looks like I bent it a little bit more than I should have. Well, it's pretty darn close actually. But this is going to be, now this is a template for the other one that we're going to be doing. You guys can ask in the comments if you have questions on it. But we're going to put this in here. We're going to match that up with this line here. It'll actually kind of sink into it if you made a big enough divot. And then we're going to pull this until it kind of locks. And then we're going to pull a little bit more. And then we're going to test it on this. And that's actually pretty darn good. Another thing you can do if you want to get an accurate line is these pedestals have a little gauge here, and you can put this in here so it's a stopper. And you go up to that, and that's where you know to stop. Alright, so I'm going to put this in here, and I'm going to lock it into place, and now I'm going to and then I'm going to mark it off of this guy to see if it's kind of rest them up, and it looks like that worked pretty well. Now we're gonna kind of rough lay it all out. I'm gonna put this here. Gonna put this here. I think I want this actually. I want these to look like that. And then we're gonna put this on here. I'm going to leave a little bit of space on either end of this. And then I'm going to check this. Put that in the midline there. And now we have an idea of what our anchor is going to look like. Going to have this going through this piece, through this arm, and off this side. And then we're going to take this other piece and we're going to do it in reverse here and put a bolt and then a nut on here. And this is going to be how we test how this rotates onto the anchor. Okay, so the idea is this guy right here is going to get welded on to the steel here, and we got to figure out how can we do this so it can rotate unencumbered. And it's likely that right about there is where it'll be able to do that. Because if we go too far down, it can't pivot. We need it to be roughly there. So I think with that much of a gap there should be the right distance. And what I would do is just tack weld, just pop one there, and then test it to see how it goes. So the next step is to tack weld this to test it and to make sure you got all the things kind of laid out right. You just tack just a couple real quick tacks just to hold it, kind of like hot glue. And if it isn't exactly how you want, you just grind that off real fast and reset it. Double check how these are. Okay. Put your mask on and try it out. So you don't need to make a perfect weld, you just want to stick it. Okay. I want to stick this one next. Okay. that should be enough, honestly, to try this. Okay, so the idea is you want this to be able to stow away, but have enough room to swivel, and that is pretty solid. It's good. So we can, I think I'm pretty happy with that, and so I'll just finish that off, finish the weld off, and I'm also going to just rough lay out the tines before I do all the finish welding. We'll rough lay out these tines and tack weld those as well. Tack it right here, and we'll just run a couple tack welds and put it all together and stick it. Okay, that should be enough to just hold things into place. Turn this around, do the same thing on this side. Quick tack. Quick tack. Okay. So there we go. That holds it just enough so we can make sure that we have everything the way we want it before we finish it off. I just cut these about 1 3/4 inch pieces out. I'm gonna make a small box, and then that box will be like a sleeve that goes down and over that will keep this from rotating. Okay, in order to make this so this collar can come down here like this, I needed to cut a bolt head off so it would have a very, very small profile. And then I'm going to weld this pin. That way this can still hinge, but I can still get this down over this. Just tack welded this together, and this is going to be the collar that goes over this. Added little welds here too. Okay, so I got this top piece on where a chain can either attach here or the chain will attach here, go up and zip tie to this. This collar right here will make it so you can fold this up, store it, but then when you want to put it into upright position, you put the collar here, and then that keeps this from collapsing. I just need to finish welding all the where I tack welded, so I need to make that all pretty, and then I'll grind it down and paint it with some galvanizing paint. Did all the welding on it, have the chain on it. You're gonna want to put like a 110 pound or 115 pound rated zip tie up here to hold this. I have this all ready to go. I have it all cleaned up and cleaned up the welds. I'm gonna add cold galvanizing compound to this anchor. You're just gonna spray lightly, try to hit everything. You don't want it dripping down, you want it to dry. I'm just gonna spray all the different sides for it, up and down here. This is the kind of stuff that keeps it from rusting too much. This is stuff you buy if you have to do work on galvanized steel. If you get it on the chain, it's not a big deal. You just spray this on. I tipped it over and did the bottom now. I'm just gonna let this all dry for a while. Once you have the anchor finished, you're gonna grab some nylon rope, anchor rope. It'll come with a shackle. Probably want to put it in one of these anchor bags and either attach one of these types of buoys to it or one of these buoys. Just so if the bag goes into the water, it'll float and then you can retrieve it. Once you get this rope off that spool, then you're going to take this and push it through this hole right here. Push it through the hole, comes through the bottom, and then you're just going to run this through your buoy. And what I do is I'll just tie it off as a bowline. You can watch some knot tying things online, but basically you're going to want to have you're going to make a loop, have the rabbit come up through the loop around the tree and back down the loop, and that'll give you a bowline. So after you watch that knot tying video, which I'm not going to do, you'll have a knot that looks like this. And then we're going to coil our rope in here, and then that will go to the end of the chain of the anchor. Then you're going to take your rope. You're going to take this, grab this shackle, and then you're going to attach it to this, and then you're going to be ready to go. If you have one of these pullers, you can add that. You got to add that before you put the buoy on it, but you can add one of these. But if you're just planning on having the anchor and the rope bag, this should do the trick. Everything is hooked up, ready to go. If these kind of projects are helpful to you, or if you just enjoy my videos, make sure to hit like or comment, because it really helps me in the algorithm. Subscribe if you want to see more from me. I do a lot of DIY and repair videos.